is hope. Rosh Hashanah is also known as Jacob's trouble or the tribulation period. Now, the Feast of Trumpets during Rosh Hashanah is also the event that precedes Jacob's trouble, Jacob meaning Israel. So how do we know that tribulation or Jacob's trouble starts on this day? Well, let's take a look at several scriptures to determine this. First of all, Jeremiah 30 verse 6 says, Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. That day referring to the great tribulation. Isaiah 26:17 says, Like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain, and crieth out in a pang, so have we been in thy sight, O Lord. Isaiah 13:6-8 says, Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Daniel 12:1 says, And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Zephaniah 1:14 says, The great day of the Lord is near, and it's referring here to the great tribulation. It is near and hastened greatly, even the voice of the Lord, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. So the great day of the Lord here and a day of trouble and distress, this is referring to the tribulation period. And we can see here where it says a day of the trumpet, or Yom Teruah, or a day of blowing. This is referring here to the Feast of Trumpets. So we have the Feast of Trumpets happening, and then we have the Day of Trouble directly following that, and which we know is the tribulation period that follows immediately after the rapture takes place. You've got all that in this one verse taking place. As you've seen from these verses, specifically Zephaniah 1:14, it clearly ties the beginning of Jacob's trouble or the tribulation period with the blowing of a trumpet, which we know he's talking about the Feast of Trumpets. Then you have the 10 days of awe or Teshuvah from Elul the first. For 30 days the Jews prepare their hearts for the future judgment. Rosh Hashanah begins the 10 days of awe or the Teshuvah. On our calendar that would mean from the beginning of August through till the middle of September, around that time. Starting at Tishri 1, you count 10 days till the Feast of Atonement. These are the days of Teshuvah. Days 1 and 2 for Rosh Hashanah, which is the rapture period, followed by 7 days symbolic of 7 years tribulation, with the 8th day being the Day of Atonement on Yom Kippur. He then comes back on the Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot to set up his kingdom and tabernacle with men for 1,000 years. And we'll cover this some more in an upcoming video segment.